Hi and welcome. Today we're going to talk about serenity and acceptance, which sounds like quite a heavy thing to talk about, but it is really important. It's particularly important when you find yourself getting frustrated about things that aren't okay, are unfair, are unreasonable, and yet you know in your heart of hearts, you know in your rational mind, there's nothing you can actually do about it. But it annoys you so much you start to get churned up inside. And this is problematic because then what's happening is all your energy is kind of focusing and churning you inside, and that steals your energy from being able to do the things and your focus and your attention on the things you do want to do. So you're left with this sense of being churned up and not being able to focus on the things that are really important. And that's why focusing on serenity and acceptance could be a real lifesaver and a real game changer. So let's look at it in more detail. It's summed up in a three-line prayer, actually, that comes from a minister from the northern states of America in the 1950s, but people think it's much older. It's called the Serenity Prayer, but you don't have to subscribe to any particular spiritual or religious perspective to get value from it. Basically, he says, God grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change the things that I can, and most importantly, number 3, the wisdom to know the difference between these two things. And this is so important. One of the issues that people often have is they put so much energy into trying to change things they can't possibly change. Like, to change the way other people are. Classic example, we often try and change other people. It's really difficult to change other people. Get annoyed about the weather, there's nothing we can do about it. We may be annoyed about this virus outbreak, but there's not much we can do about it. And what we need to do is focus on what can we do? What can we make a difference to? If we can do that, then we're putting our energy in the most useful place. So there's two things to it. Number one is this ability to distinguish which one is something we can do something about and putting our energy into that. And then the second thing is to find a way to be okay with the things that just aren't fair, shouldn't be this way, that they're awful, but that is how they are. Because if we try and fight those things that we can't possibly change, then we're going to put our energy and all the wheels are going to spin and nothing's going to happen apart from we're going to get frustrated. That sounds like a tough thing to deal with, but at the same time, if you look at it, if you put your energy into something you have no chance in changing, it's just not changeable, then that energy is no longer available for the things that you could make a difference for. So we're going to look at the concept of how do we get more in touch with being accepting of the things that we can't change. How do we get to a point where we can be serene even though it's not how we want it to be, and it shouldn't be that way? We recognize that wastes our energy and our resources, which we could put in more useful directions. So I'm going to take you through a guided visualization all about serenity. First of all, what I'd like you to do is to think about a time when you came across someone and you thought they seem to have a good and clear understanding of how to bring acceptance into their lives. There are things they don't like, that they are the way they are, but they found a way to be at peace with them. And as you think about that person, I'd like you to imagine that they're just there beside you. I'd like you to imagine talking to them about the things that you're frustrated about, that you feel disempowered about, that you think are unfair. And just have them listen to you and hear you and understand it and get it. And then have them talk to you about how to be finding some peace with that unfairness. What is it they say to you? What's the message they would give? Now, this person may be somebody that you're deeply familiar with, or it may be someone you've heard about or read about. But whoever it is, just take some time to really connect with their perspective, what the message is they would give to you. And now, having done that, and learning whatever you need to learn from that, about how to deal with difficult things in an even more healthy way for yourself, then what I'd like you to do is to take a few moments to float back in time, to a time when you recognise that you had that ability to be compassionately accepting of something you didn't particularly want to be that way, but you recognised it was, and you were able to find some peace in that time. Just feel what that feels like, how it feels to be able to think this through in this way, to make the best sense of what has occurred. Connect with that feeling. Where do you feel that in your body? What does your inner voice sound like as you see the world in that way? And as you do, really feel that feeling. Breathe that in. Feel that flowing through you. And once again, imagine if it was to come out of a hose pipe and had a colour. What colour would that be? And just have that flow into your future, particularly into those moments that you know it would be so useful to have that sense of connection with that deep, compassionate, kind perspective and acceptance that you have and you've already used so many times in your life. Take some time to connect with this. And when you're ready, allow yourself to return slowly back to the here and now, knowing that by connecting with this sense of acceptance and serenity, by thinking of somebody who for you is an exemplar, someone who represents that really powerfully in their world, in their life, allows us to further connect with this in ourselves. And again, it's not like accepting that this is okay the way it is. It's finding a way to be at peace with the fact it's not okay, it's not the way you want it to be, and yet you need to put your energy into something that's more powerful, more useful, and moves others' lives forwards in the most effective way. So I hope you found that useful, something to think about. Really notice when you find yourself getting all bent out of shape, getting annoyed and frustrated, and ask yourself, is this the wisest choice for me at this time? Now sometimes it can be, sometimes standing up, saying this isn't okay, doing something about it is a great thing. And sometimes when you realise that isn't going to make any difference, it may be more useful to find some way to be at peace with the things that we cannot change.